Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwan, and today we're going to be talking about Chaos Space Marine recruitment methods as we get into the recruitment world of a Chaos Space Marine. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions, please comment down below. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Chaos Space Marines recruitment. Terrorizing the galaxy since the dark days of the Great Crusade, the traitor Space Marine legions have been a terrible thorn in the side of the Imperium of Man. These twisted and corrupt superhuman warriors are much stronger than their loyalist counterparts. Blessed by chaos, the warbands of traitors enjoy longer lifespans, hardier bodies, and chaotic boons that no loyalist Astarte could ever obtain. However, the great downfall to the Chaos Space Marine legions is their inability to create more of their kind compared to the Space Marines of the Imperium. The extreme challenge of transforming a human aspirant into a Chaos Space Marine has made it a rarity for a Chaos neophyte to exist. Space Marines are created through the implantation of gene seed, and this crucial building block is something a warband must plunder in order to give rise to new traitors. The method of acquiring gene seed is a topic for a completely different video. What we need to understand is that this precious gene seed organ cannot be wasted on any ordinary recruit. As such, the tests and trials of a Chaos Space Marine are even more challenging than a standard aspirant trial. A Chaos Space Marine warband's most popular method of finding recruits is by plundering a recruitment world of the Imperium. They do this by seeding Imperial worlds with the chaotic teachings of their master, and then harvesting the most savage and powerful of their stock. Luckily for the Chaos forces, these planets are in abundance within the Imperium of Man. From these worlds, not only are the finest warriors of the Astra Militarum and the Imperial Navy recruited, but many are the main source of Space Marine recruitment. The harsh environmental conditions of the planet sculpt tremendous battle-hardened recruits ready to face the challenges of an aspirant trial. Many of these worlds are backwards and savage in the extreme. They are left like this on purpose by the Imperium of Man, which makes them easy places to corrupt and twist to the favor of the Chaos Gods. Chaos Space Marines search for the most abandoned or least protected of these planets. The less contact with the greater Imperium, the easier it is to spread their corruption. Imperial feudal worlds that are only visited by the Adeptus Ministorum on tithe collection years, hive cities with corrupted Ministorum officials that allow all manner of deviations from the Imperial Creed, feral worlds that are seldom supervised by the crusading Space Marine chapters, and death worlds completely cut off by warp storms. All of these types of planets are targeted by Chaos Space Marines. They send their human cultist slaves to probe the planet and familiarize themselves with the culture of the world. Most of these societies are primitive and have no idea of the powerful sources that exist all around them. They either interpret the men arriving from space as either messengers from God or divine prophets. Once a planet is deemed worthy based on the toughness of their population, the cultists teach the people about the wonders of the Chaos Gods. Many perform extravagant displays of sorcery to prove to their population that their gods are true. Khorne cultists perform great feats of strength. Nurgle cultists revive the dead. Slaanesh cultists uplift with pleasure. And Tzeentch cultists use knowledge to better the life on the planet. Once the population, or part of the population, is wrapped up in the worship of the Chaos Gods, the Chaos Space Marines that will judge the future recruits descend from the heavens. As most Chaos Space Marines are demigod-like entities, the people on these planets view them as such. Because of this, it is easy for a traitor Marine to bend the will of the population to their own agenda. Most warbands require warriors. As such, Chaos Space Marines will demand their human stock to battle, either each other or an outside source. When a planet has enough people to create war between tribes or nations, the Chaos Space Marines will push each faction to butcher each other for dominance. If the population is smaller, or a Chaos Space Marine desires to bring an outside source, he will do so. Warbands have been known to redirect orc walls, having the greenskins invade a planet and test the strength of their stock. They have also introduced wild beasts to stalk the inhabitants of a world, waiting in anticipation to see who kills who. Whichever method a Chaos Space Marine chooses to test his recruits, the process is extremely deadly for all. If the Imperium ever realizes the traitor's plot, they will send a force to destroy the inhabitants, but this only benefits the Chaos Space Marines, as this new arrival of Imperial might presents another challenge for their recruits. If the warriors are truly worthy to become traitor Marines, then they should be able to repel the Imperial assault. Populations of trillions have been reduced to hundreds, only for Chaos Space Marines to drop down after the war and collect their prize of battle-hardened soldiers with a newfound hatred for the Imperium of Man. The heretical writings of the cultist Hetman describes this recruitment method so well. He writes, "I was born the sixth son of Kashkada. I was a Tabor on the day that the great prophet came amongst us. The Tabor were the outcast of the world. They were condemned because we were faithful in the gods of the four winds, the blood wind that fired the warrior soul, the plague wind that purged the weak, the wind of change that brought the gifts of the gods to man, and the scented wind that roused the passions. Our enemies were the Atmen. They were the men of the cities who served the sky gods. For centuries they had scoured the grasslands, hunting us down, but with the coming of the prophet, that all changed. In my 14th year, I was part of a horde that swept into the city of Jagan and put the inhabitants to the slaughter. Those were great days. The Tabor were masters of the wider grasslands, raiding and plundering at our pleasure. I owned 4 gold-cased pistols and a fine Cassine saber. I flew my hawks, wore robes of silk, and accepted no insult from any man. One by one, the cities of the Atmen fell before us, and great caravans of slaves stretched across the plains to the mountains of the prophet for sacrifice to the winds. The prophet was a man like no other. He was taller than any of the Tabor. He wore armor of jet and gold. His great gauntlet could shatter any barred gate, and his blade could cut even Cassine steel. No man could meet his burning gaze, and he taught the clan so much of the true nature of the gods and how to bring death to our enemies. Finally, our host met with the Atman army on the red grass. Standing with the enemy were 20 storm giants, heroes of the Atman, who was said had traveled beyond the winds to the citadel of the sky gods, and had now returned to save their people from our wrath. The prophet told us that immortality would be the reward for those who bested them. My soul called for the blood of these warriors, and I charged gladly into battle. Over that long day, I charged 5 times. Each time I fired every pistol, but to no effect. The storm giant's armor was proof against my bullets. In each charge, I saw their guns cut through our squadrons, piling great heaps of men and horses before their lines. The evening sky turned blood red, and the air stank of death. The great horde of the Tabor, the sons of the prophet, was all but destroyed. My father was dead. My brothers were dead. I was wounded, and my fine saber broken, and yet my hatred for the enemy was greater than ever. We prepared for one last charge, no longer in squadrons, but a scattering of bloodied individuals awaiting for a sign of the prophet. Instead of raising the banner to signal another charge, he pointed to the crest of the hill at his back as the moon rose behind him. Over the ridge came demons with blood-soaked skin, bearing huge axes and swords. They rushed at the storm giants, and we followed. The warriors of the gods clashed, and the normal men were hurled about by the powers they unleashed. I staggered into a press clutching a broken lance. Flaming winds cast me down, but I pressed on, and thrusted my lance into the first of the storm giants I could reach. I struck him where his armor was twisted and melted. He fell, and as he did, the prophet leapt upon him, and with glowing blades cut him open and pulled the organs from his body. He held his bloody prize aloft, and told me immortality beckoned me. Scarcely 100 Tabor had survived the battle. The prophet asked me what I felt. I told him that I wanted vengeance. Vengeance against the giants who had killed my father and brother, against those who had shattered my clan, vengeance against their kin and their young, that I wanted to tear down their god and make them regret raising arm against the Tabor. The prophet was pleased with my answer, and said that I would travel beyond the winds with him, and I would also be a warrior of the gods. And this is only one of the Chaos Space Marine recruitment methods. They use many others to replenish their ranks. Subscribe to the channel to get more recruitment methods by the Chaos Space Marines. If you guys like this topic, we also created an overview of like how Space Marine or Chaos Space Marines recruit or how they get new recruits. I'll link that at the top of this video. If you guys have any suggestions for any other topics, please let me know in the comment section below. I hope you guys are enjoying our content. Thanks so much for listening, and thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. With all of that said, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. This is Khorne with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
put my freedom first.